Hello everyone and welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So this is going to be episode 2 of our climb to Mythic. Last time we left off kind of a win-loss scenario, but technically a net positive. This time I'm going to be playing mono red on the best of 1 ranked ladder. This is the build that I plan on going with. It is my current recommended build for mono red. Just to do a quick take on this, I Stoke the Flames. Love this card. This card's amazing. It's fun to play with. It's also very good. It's very powerful. I would highly recommend playing some number of this card. Most lists are playing 1. I like playing 2. I think it really takes advantage of situations where you just can't attack. You have 2 or 3 mana on the board, and it just allows you to tap out efficiently at times as well. We have some strangles here, which is very crucial for getting rid of, anything on turn 3 or earlier. I mean, but especially like those graveyard trespassers type threats, the Gix, something to that extent. The Strangle is extremely good at dealing with that. We take our beatings to Shieldred, of course. Hopefully we can be on the play and win the game before that's really a threat, or be able to attack around it on turn 4. But otherwise, this is a pretty burn heavy build, 1-drop heavy build. I like to play a 1 of Shivan Devastator to go over the top. I could see maybe going down a Squee and up a Shivan Devastator, depending on what you're playing up against on the ladder, but this is what I would recommend to at least start out with. I'm not playing any Mishra's Factories whatsoever. The reason for that is simply because the way best of 1 works, especially best of 1, it's really important to have your mana source, colored mana source, on turn 1, especially in this deck where we have so many 1-drops. We really need to start casting those, and we can't risk having colorless mana in our hands. Also, on turn 2, turn 3, it's possible to double spell, triple spell. You can't do that if you have a Mishra's Factory on the board. That's why in this specific build for red, I prefer just playing only red sources. Okay, so let's go ahead then, and we'll get into some games. Now, you saw there I had 2 red lists. I had a mono red festivities list. So that build is something else that's also very valid. You can play in the festivities. If you're running into a lot of, other red decks or soldier decks, you can definitely play it in the festivities. It's very good. You play mechanized warfare in that build, you can actually afford to play more Mishra's Factories and things like that. I think it's worth it. Okay, so here we are on the play. We have 3 lands, which is great. Normally that's indicative of a good curve at least, so we should draw a good land to spell ratio here and on the best of 1 ladder. We have some interaction on turn 2 with Lightning Strike. We don't have like a 2-drop like the Bloodthirsty Adversary or the Felden. If we need to, we can Shivan Devastator, especially if we draw something like a Raiju on turn 3 or turn 2. Sorry, we can definitely Shivan Devastator just to have the extra creature with a counter on it for additional damage. But I am going to keep this and Phoenix Chick on turn 1 here. A lot of lists are cutting back on the Phoenix Chick. I disagree. I think the Phoenix Chick is just too good to not play, especially with so many cut downs running around the format right now. Kumano is the strictly better 1-drop, however. Okay, so I did draw the Raiju. I have a few options. I could play the control deck, right, and just hold up Lightning Strike. However, since we do have this Raiju, I think I am going to go ahead and cast my Shivan Devastator, especially since their Kumano isn't flipping this turn. But I may be able to race, especially if I draw a 4th land. Okay, so he'll get in for 3 with Felden. Our opponent is moving a bit faster than us here, but we have a pretty decent curve of our own. And next turn we'll go Raiju. This is going to be a close game though. 5-11, depending on what our opponent plays here. Hopefully they stumble on mana. Did not happen. Flip Spear into removal spell on Squee will be rough. Okay, so 7 damage. Okay, 9 damage. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not good enough. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has lethal. Can block with the goblin, assuming there's no... Well, this can't block. I think I have to play it slow, unfortunately. And hopefully get some blockers off here and then win on the following turn. Opponent was just slightly faster than us. Okay, we're at 6. I think... Block, block, pick 5, down to 1, and we win. Okay, opponent opting. Okay, and that should be GG for us. Close game, very close game. We have a few different ways to win here. I'll go ahead and just throw out the lightning strike, just to show them that we had it. Still had all Ds, right? Okay. Good win. That was, like I said, a very close game. We were on the play, but our opponent almost got there. We just so happened to have just enough blockers. That's one of those situations, though. We played a risk. So on turn 3, I chose to play the squee on curve rather than hold up a lightning strike. I could have played lightning strike on their Feldon and played more of a control type deck, and that may have been correct. We would not have taken as much. We took 9 damage from Feldon there, or 6 plus a creature. So we took 6 damage plus had to block the Feldon. That's significant for 2 mana on our opponent's part. So maybe lightning strike may have been a little safer, but we were on curve, so I think it's best. Okay, so let me do some math here. So Swift Spear 1. Yeah, so I think it's actually better, given our specific hand, to lead with a Swift Spear, and the next turn Swift Spear, Kumano to double spell and get the prowess triggers. No cut downs, very good. And Squee is also very good. So we don't get our 2/2 as fast, obviously, but I think this is worth it. Wow, okay, and we also get the Evolve Sleeper. So if he plays... Oh, he's blue-black. Okay, sacrifice the Swift Spear, no big deal. So now we can Squee with an extra counter, which will protect it from cut down. Not bad. Kumano flips. We have an evasive creature plus burn. So I like our chances here. That's very good. Okay, now we have to choose. I think our opponent probably trades with the Squee here. Although he could block the Swift Spear. I think that would probably be a mistake. I think we just go Phoenix Chick. And I would trade here. He could block the Swift Spear or the Kumano. Okay, so I think my opponent probably has a Shieldred or maybe even a board wipe. So I could opt to just empty my hand here to kill the Trespasser. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put my opponent to 2. Maybe it's best to just go for the face here. And then we'll scry into hopefully another threat. Hopefully another burn spell or something. Okay. And we have a lot of stuff on the board now. If he plays a board wipe, we at least have our Bloodthirsty Adversary. Shieldred will not stabilize the game for our opponent. Sleeper will also not stabilize the game for our opponent. Neither will that. Okay. Yeah, good game. Okay, cool. So a couple of wins. This deck is awesome. We get up to gold. Gold tier 4. Okay, and we'll keep going. Alright, so getting some good wins so far. It always feels good to get up to that next tier. You can't be demoted. Certainly appreciate some of these games, especially that mono red mirror. That was pretty fun. Okay, so now our opponent is on the draw. Our hand though is still fine. We have interaction. We have something at the top of the curve. If we do get flooded, okay, another mono red mirror. Well, technically we're not favored being on the draw, but our opponent does not have a play, so it's possible they are not mono red. So we have the option of leading with Swift Spear or Phoenix Chick. I think given that they could be on mono red and maybe their hand is a bunch of Feldons and a play with fire, so something might be getting removed here. I want that to be the Phoenix Chick, so let's lead with that. Okay, doesn't look like a removal spell unless our opponent was just passing automatically. Okay, yeah. So it was just some 2-drops. Alright, well, typically if you can double spell, you should. I'm not really afraid of the Bloodthirsty Adversary. I would like some lands though. So opponent plays a Mechanized Warfare, so they are on this list. So we have to be extremely afraid of in the festivities now. Okay, so I think I have to go ahead and just remove the Bloodthirsty Adversary. I mean, that's dealing 3 damage to me a turn. We'll go ahead and get in some damage to our opponent. They're already at 11. A land here, and I can go Feldon, Swift Spear. The opponent's under some pressure, but an In the Festivities just pretty much ends the game. Yeah. So that's something you, of course, have to be afraid of. That's the reason to play the Mechanized Warfare list, because now we just take 5 damage. Okay, Lightning Strike is good, but we don't have any lands, so this does have to be removed. Our opponent can just activate Mishra's Factory, though, and deal another 5 to us. Okay, and yep, that will be game. GG. Yeah, so that's the reason to play the Mechanized Warfare list, just full stop. Whether or not our opponent was on the play or draw, it really doesn't matter. Our opponent was probably going to win that game because they had the In the Festivities, which wipes my board and not theirs. So it's extremely good in the mirror match or just against any other aggressive decks other than like mono black. So soldiers, Azoria soldiers, enchantments, mono red. The Mechanized Warfare list is really good into all of those. If you're playing into more mono black, however, maybe you don't want to play that version. Okay, so we go first. We have Kumano and the Feldon, which is very good. We have Interaction and another Raiju at the top of the curve. Unfortunately, we have 2 lands, so the odds of us getting mana screwed are higher. Okay, opponent is on some type of red-green aggro list. Okay, so if we do draw a 3rd land here, though, it'd be pretty sweet. We can draw running lands. We have a very good curve. Okay, our opponent automatically concedes to the 3/3 Feldon. I don't think that's necessary, especially since, you know, on the following turn I can't do a whole lot. I can play Strangle, I guess. I play with fire. I will take the free win, though. So we'll continue waiting for our next opponent here. Alright. Opponent goes first, 3 lands, very good. A couple of 1-drops here. We are on the draw. Maybe we'll draw a Kumano though. It's just a superior 1-drop I'd rather have. Okay, opponent is on mono black. Okay, well, this is pretty good. So next turn we can actually double spell. We can Phoenix Chick, play with fire, the Evolve Sleeper. They play a Tenacious Underdog, not really afraid of that. So it looks like they'll evolve their sleeper, and then they probably have a cut down for us. Which we are not really afraid of cut down with Phoenix Chicks, but it's going to be annoying when they cut down our Squee. Okay, it's just a second sleeper. Sure. Oh, we have Lightning Strike for that too. Good. Alright, so let's go ahead and attack. And let's pass. Maybe we can... We'll probably take some additional damage we would not have had to take before. Okay, well, you know, thank goodness we have the Lightning Strike. So let's go ahead and play with fire that. And hopefully our opponent does not have a Shieldred to follow up with. That's just going to be a beating. So this we have to eliminate now. It's not as mana efficient. We'll take the 3, of course. Get in our 2 damage. And then on the following turn, we'll play a Raiju. Hopefully they do not go Shieldred. If they go Shieldred, we can't necessarily... Maybe we still want to Raiju. Okay, it's just an underdog. That's good for us. Levels up Sleeper, attacks for 2. Okay by me. Okay, so now what we do is we Raiju, but we put the counter on Raiju. Okay, takes the full 6. Opponent thinks they can race. See what they have. If they have good removal for Raiju, then maybe. Sacrifice Phoenix Chick, of course. Okay. So, out of interest of playing this when I have 5 lands, I think I'm just going to play my next Phoenix Chick. Okay, opponent will concede. So I put the counter on Phoenix Chick. He'll take the 1 damage, pay 2 mana, get the other Phoenix Chick, and it's probably game from there. But that was relatively close. But I did have 3 lands, so that means that my ratios, like when I'm drawing, land to spell ratio is going to be very good. Now, our opponent, though, still lost as mono black against mono red, which is normally a good matchup for them. The crucial part was me having Lightning Strike for Flesh Gorger. That was really it. I had Lightning Strike for Flesh Gorger, so I had the interaction to overcome that. If my opponent followed that up, though, on turn 4 with a Shieldred, I probably lose. Alright. Well, our opponent has a Shieldred. I don't have any turn 1 plays. This isn't great. I do have 3 lands, though. I have 2 play with fires. If our opponent's on mono black, this doesn't do much for us. It does deal with their early threats. If our opponent happens to be on mono red or soldiers, this is very good. So do we take their do we take the avatar that they've chosen into consideration? Because this could be a good hand in any of the other aggressive matchups. Let's go ahead and keep it. Instantly punished. Of course our opponent's on mono black. Silly, what else would they be on? Let's go ahead and lead with the Swift Spear. Oh, I see. Okay, well, that's not the worst thing that could happen. They're not blocking here, right? So, curious why they did not attack. I think it was a missed point of damage, but probably not that big of a deal from our opponent here. Our opponent assuredly has removal? No? Okay. Perhaps a Shieldred or another ossification. Although they do have double white mana now for a Wandering Emperor. So it is a Shieldred. I'll take the 2. Now, this is not... Okay, let me do some math here. I can kill Shieldred because I have Stoke the Flames. So if I convoke the Goblin, I can kill Shieldred, get 2 procs on Swift Spear, get another Goblin, so that's 2, 5, 6 damage. Opponent goes to 7, and Shieldred's dead. Opponent needs another Shieldred or a board wipe. I could play like a 3/3 Devastator, swing over it, and deal essentially 1 damage to them every turn. 1 damage, they're at 12, and then just 6 to the face, 6, 5. I don't like playing the long game against them. I think we want to do this. So let's cast this first. Cast that. We'll pay here. Maybe our opponent concedes? No concede. Okay, so they probably have something. Then, you know, whatever they have here, I can follow up with a Devastator, and hopefully it's just enough to win. Okay. Wandering Emperor, they exile Squee. Not the end of the world. You know, I could just not. Okay, what's more damage here? Yeah, let's just do this. Let's just do it like this. We'll play a 4/4 Devastator. Here, and the rest hopefully does not have another Wandering Emperor. A second Wandering Emperor might be hard to beat. Removal spell is not. Okay, cool. All right, we'll take the win. Okay, see, that's the reason why I really appreciate Stoke the Flames. I could not have done that there with, well, I guess technically if I had a Lightning Strike or a Strangle, I also could have done it. But Stoke the Flames allows you that flexibility. I had the option of also going face. I think just getting the Shieldred off the board was probably the best. But again, it's all about having more decisions, and Stoke the Flames gives you more decisions inherently as mono red, which is what the deck really looks for, right? Okay, let's go ahead and play another match here. Okay, we are on the play. Our opponent has Teferi sleeves. So is Strangle and Lightning Strike going to be useless? So again, most of the format is some type of mono red aggro deck in which Strangle Lightning Strike would be very good, and I can just start pumping out Raijus. However, he has Teferi sleeves, or he or she has Teferi sleeves. So taking that into consideration again, it's you know what? I'll mulligan. Okay, well, this is just the exact same hand, just strictly worse. I guess it's not strictly worse. I have this Squee on turn 3. It's like, would I rather have the Squee or the second Raiju? Okay, well, they our opponent with Teferi sleeves ends up being mono red, so that first the first hand would have been way better. It's all about what type of data you want to play with. But now I have a fistful of removal. An opponent has a bunch of Phoenix Chicks. Okay. Our opponent has a Play with Fire themselves. I'm not going to cast my squee. Okay, I'll go ahead and get my Raiju in. This prevents it from dying to a play with fire from the mechanized warfare. They could have lightning strike, stoke the flames, strangle, any number of things to still kill it, but it at least protects it from the play with fire. Okay. Well, the bad news is that Strangle can't kill the Mishra's Foundry. Can kill the Kamano when it flips, though. Okay, well, I can at least strangle the squee. Although they can bring back the squee, can't they? Okay, so I don't think we're winning this one. We have to take our beats to the End of Festivities mono red list. Our opponent can now bring back their squee. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's at least 7 damage here with more than enough to be lethal. I don't think I have any outs. Oh, yeah, he just has the Kamano to finish off, yeah. But I do not believe there was anything I could draw there. Even my Shivan Devastator, I don't think would have been big enough. Okay, alright, well, you know, we still had a really good run today on Mono Red. We had actually a lot of really fun games. I really do appreciate playing the deck. Anything I could have done better? I don't think so. I think our losses were pretty straightforward. I'd have to go back and review specifically. I think the only argument was in the mono red mirror match. There was that turn 2 where I could have used Lightning Strike on his Feldon. We still won the game, but maybe that was a safer play to minimize our risk. Although an argument can definitely be made for racing. Okay, all right. Well, that's going to do it for me for episode 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful night.